All right, it is 5:31 p.m. I'll go ahead and call to order this meeting of Bloomington Common Council's Climate Action and Resilience Committee. I am Chair, Councilmember Matt Flaherty.
Councilmember Sidney Zulik. Councilmember Hopi Sosper.
And absent tonight is Councilmember Dave Rallo, or at least so far. I'll be expecting to join a bit late at the appointment. Also with us, we have supporting Ash Kulek, Deputy City Attorney, Deputy City Council Attorney, is that?
Yeah, Deputy Attorney for the Council.
Deputy Attorney for the Council, thank you. And also in the clerk's office, Steve McDowell. Invited guests this evening include from the Economic Sustainable Development Department, the Director.
Sean Yan, Assistant Director of Sustainability. Michaela Lynch, Sustainability Program Coordinator.
Thank you, and I'll go ahead and well, actually, we also have what did David go there? David Hiddle, the Director of the Planning and Transportation Department. So I'll go ahead and run through our agenda. We have updates from committee members, then a section updates from city staff, which is the primary focus of this evening's meeting, with a variety of updates related to and discussion items related to the Climate Action Dashboard, which launched maybe a month or two ago. General tracking of our progress on the city's climate action plan. We're about 4 years in, or maybe I guess 3 years in to the city's climate action plan implementation phase. Then we will continue our discussion transitioning gas powered off-road equipment to electric equipment. It's been an ongoing discussion of the committees for some time. We have some action items, but we haven't had a chance to touch base with staff on those yet. Then we'll also have discussion of the budget breakdown for the 1.6 million or so that's budgeted for climate action plan implementation. And that will conclude the updates from city staff. Also on the agenda tonight, we have an item related to climate action plan actions regarding urban agriculture. And that was at the request of Ms. Spear, who I believe is with us tonight. And then also a period for general public comment, scheduling, and adjournment. And I'm wondering, just noting we have a lot of folks from the public with us here this evening. Maybe by a show of hands, are folks here specifically for the urban agriculture item? The majority, perhaps? If it would be okay with folks, I might propose reordering our agenda to move that ahead of the updates from committee members and city staff, if that seems okay. Okay, seeing no objection, we'll just consider that amended. So yeah, we can actually start with that item. I can give the briefest of context and backgrounds, and then would actually invite Ms. Spear to join the table and share. So again, as I mentioned, we added this as an agenda item when Ms. Spear reached out to the committee with some background and details about proposed uses on her property in, I believe, the Covenant neighborhood. Is that right? And how they might be related to portions of the city's climate action plan regarding urban agriculture. I've also touched base with the planning staff about it, which is why Director Hiddle has agreed to join us, and some members of the Environmental Commission and Commission on Sustainability as well. So with that, I actually ask you to go ahead and join the table here, and we'll have opportunity for public comment on this item as well. But really, I just want to better understand the issue and what it is you were interested in coming to the committee about.
So the things that we had already passed out, but we wanted to pass out again, and one of the things that's new is how what we've been doing over the past several years and what we'd like to do, how it aligns with the climate action plan. We do happen to be in a residential neighborhood, and that causes conflicts with zoning ordinances. When we started this several years ago, we were given a verbal okay to go ahead and do everything for free. If someone wanted to give us a donation, we could accept a donation, and our mission.
Welcome to join if you'd like. Yeah, please.
And our mission is is sustainability and urban gardening education. The only reason why we actually started this is because we had so many people every single week walking down the street and stopping and asking us questions for hours and hours. Multiple people, neighbors, not only from the Covenanter neighborhood, but from Bryan Park would come and stop, from, I'm forgetting what the neighborhood next to us is, but we're sort of like on the edge of a bunch. From Renwick, we're, on the edge of a bunch of different neighborhoods, and we are right on one of the Greenway, paths. And so.
There's only so much time that we could spend educating people and taking our time away from gardening and taking care of the half acre of raised beds that we take care of that produce 5,000 to 6,000 pounds of organic fruits and veggies. It's a lot of work, and that's why I moved back to Bloomington, was to assist my sister in building this. And I'm the chair of the CAC, the Climate Action the Citizens Action Committee with the Waste Reduction District, and I'm also a committee member on BCOS.
I'm sorry, can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Matthew Austin.
Thank you.
Yeah, so with this outpouring of questions and interest and people saying, could you educate us on these different topics? Oh, I see, what is that? Oh, it's a worm composter. Oh, how do you do that? We started going, well, how can we do this on a larger scale? And so we decided to open up a nonprofit with the understanding that we needed to do everything for free and that's why we started getting grants, or if someone wanted to donate money to the nonprofit. We came to find out this past spring that this was not acceptable. And so we've been told that we need to stop doing what we're doing. And so now we're here before you saying, we have volunteers that want to continue. We have students, we have a connection with MCCSE. They want to continue to send us.
So, and on this page, you can see some of the groups we've already worked with. Right down that single page. And this document, which we sent through an email, is the document showing the climate action plan, all the things we're already working on, that the climate action plan addresses. And the last one is our statement to you.
And yeah, and we understand we're in a neighborhood. We understand that there are, we've tried to make it we understand that it's not a rural farm, that we need to follow, protocol and procedure within the realms of an nice urban neighborhood. We understand that our neighbors want to have everything stay small. And so as we've been designing things, I'll say no more, it's a Girl Scout troop. You cannot have any more than 10 girls come. Same Boy Scout troop, or we've been trying to keep it small. We did explore the idea of we had Marlins kindergarten and first grade classes, because they wanted to see what were the possibilities in a small urban environment, what they could do at a school. And I said, it would be best for the kids to come and actually see the infrastructure. So when I'm talking and teaching them, they know what that post looks like, the fencing, why we need to protect from the deer, or maybe they want to experiment and have the deer eat their stuff. So we did have a group come, 60 kids, but I told the school bus, you may drop them off and you have to immediately leave. I told all the neighbors, this is what is going to be happening. Are you okay with this? We kept them all tucked away in the backyard. We are,
So it was a big success, end all be all. We see the climate action plan, and it says we want all these things done. The city wants it, and the city council voted for that. But then there's all these things in the UDO that do not correlate to that. So they're rubbing up against each other. And so we have felt harassed, bullied, picked on. We've been treated different than other citizens by planning and transportation throughout this process. And so it's very confusing for us when there's a climate action plan that says we want all this stuff done by 2030, and we're taking massive action on it. And then we're getting, once again, bullied, harassed, picked on by the city that's also telling us this is what we want. So it's very confusing for us and it's extremely frustrating at the same time when there's all these grand plans, but we're seeing very little movement by the city on its own.
Okay. Oh, so if I can clarify, in terms of structure, I'm gonna invite staff to weigh in if either planning or ESD had thoughts preliminarily, and then invite committee members to ask questions, staff or Mr. and Mr. Austin. But could I just also clarify that, so it's your business, the nonprofit Garden Quest, and you're seeking, like, what specifically are you seeking changed in the UDO? Is it to change an allowed use?
Right, so right now, we are in violation of home occupation, because home occupation only is within 4 walls of your home. You cannot show or see or do anything, you cannot have anyone come to your home. It has to be you're sewing by yourself, or you're an accountant by yourself. You cannot have anyone enter your home, or out, or be outside. You can't, nothing can look different. So urban agriculture it does not fit in that, or urban agriculture education does not fit in that, especially education. If you're gonna do hands-on education, which is what a lot of kids, adults, that's what they're asking for. They wanna see, they wanna do, they need to be able to see and do. So we're asking for, I know one of the climate action plans is to reduce the zoning, change zoning, reduce zoning barriers for urban agriculture. And there's a lot of education initiatives in here. So we're asking for the ability to help with these educational initiatives in a residential neighborhood.
So the big ask would be to be exempt from the UDO, because we are doing all the stuff that's moving towards the climate action plan, because in the city of Bloomington, all you have to be is a complainer and you get listened to. But if you do good things, you don't get any benefit for doing good things.
Yeah.
Right, and so you know, the big ask is be exempt from the UDO because of all the things that we're doing on that. The expansion of that would be anybody that is doing a farm within city limits, there would be some sort of litmus test. They'd have to pass these tests in order to qualify to be exempt. But ultimately, that's only a patch, so that, because we know the UDO can take a while to get updated, that would just be a temporary Band-Aid while the UDO gets updated, so that it is works with the climate action plan. Or the other ask would be, let's just elevate the climate action plan above the UDO, because if we don't have a city, what's the point of having the UDO? Because there's gonna be no city if there's no planet to live on.
Yeah.
So that's our question, is what is more important, the climate action plan, so we have a place to live, or the UDO, what seems to me to be pointless routes?
I would say, well, they're different, and it's important to know. So a plan is a vision of a general set of principles, actions, goals we'd like to achieve. It is not law, it is not code. The UDO, of course, supersedes in all cases. That actually is local law. I guess if they're willing, I'd love to hear from maybe planning staff and ESD staff if you have particular thoughts about obviously we're talking about the UDO and climate action plan both. In particular, I'm hearing at least multiple dimensions. I'm hearing about urban agriculture and what is allowed in terms of urban agriculture, or what barriers there might be there as a use or as an activity, I guess, and then also educational efforts or a home occupation that operates outdoors in some way. So I'm curious to hear more about those things. And again, maybe after hearing from staff on that, I'd like to invite committee members to ask questions of folks as well. If that sounds okay. Did staff have items to share?
I just have a question.
Yeah, please.
So the UDO, it prevents people from having educational events in their homes, and is the purpose of that so that there's not a lot of traffic in neighborhoods? Is that what the?
I would imagine there are a lot of purposes related to home occupation uses in residential areas, essentially balancing residential character, peace and quiet versus business. It's not, it's not mixed use for a reason. So probably that balancing what could be seen as a nuisance essentially or something. But I would imagine Mr. Hiddle probably has more specific thoughts about generally why we don't, or why we are narrow in business uses in residential zones. But I think the planning staff's probably the first to ask.
I mean, what we were told in our variance or our meeting with planning and transportation is there is for outdoor businesses, there is a fear of someone, if it's open to all outdoor businesses, then there's this fear that someone's gonna bring in a bunch of trucks and start working on them, and it's gonna become this big eyesore. We're asking for very defined rules where it's for an exemption, an exception for educational, you have to fall within these rules. It's small, it's small classes, it's meeting the climate action plan, it's helping, further the
It's
education.
not busing up the neighborhoods.
not-
We have
yeah.
plenty of neighbors that have parties that have far more cars showing
Yeah.
up than we do, the little things that we have. So it's very convoluted in our mind.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, I don't.
Sorry, let's stop there for now. I recognize, yeah, there may also be it sounds like other actions taking place in the context of city government. So if it's not appropriate to comment on certain aspects of this, that's okay too.
Sure, I just feel like David's perspective as the director of planning is more relevant.
Mhm.
No, it's fine, and I just really respect what Garden Quest is doing, and it obviously is really incredible. We want to bring gardening and lift it up like the Victory Gardens, and so that it can be a solution for our community and our residents. Garden Quest was awarded an arts grant for a wall that's on their property. We received numerous complaints about it, and I had to notify planning about that, and they, what we did is we drilled into the code because we're required to. That's kind of what our role is in the city, is to make sure that in the areas of activity in which we're engaging, that we're maintaining the letter of the law. And I hope that's not why you felt bullied, but if it is, I apologize. But so planning staff and art staff went out, and the grant holds the wall stands in the art stands. And then the other complaints that I received were forwarded to planning and transportation. So maybe we can pick up there. I would take one point, and that is that you were given previous permission for commercial activities. I was in ESD from 2020 to 2022, and I think that we were having the same conversations at that time, and we were running up against the same pretty clear communication from planning and transportation at that time from the same planner, which is Eric Boylish. So I think that was a bit, well, I don't even want to say it's mischaracterization, because I want to remain curious and just say, I'm not sure. I'm curious where the permission that you perceived yourselves to have is having come from.
Let's hold up on that right for now. We can ask questions in a bit.
But and again, I just want to say, this is about the letter of the UDO, and I just personally feel really, conflicted about, having to sure certain activities. But the gardening activities, I think there was nothing in the UDO that was disallowing. It's the educational commercial component. David?
Yeah, but that's,
Sorry, it's not the column, David.
Okay, yeah, please go ahead.
that's correct. The UDO does allow for urban agriculture, which is exactly what the climate action plan, recommends the UDO allow for. And it builds on to define urban agriculture in a lot of ways, but to shorten the cultivation of food and or cultural crops. So you can grow food, you can use your residential lot to produce food. That's the goal. That's what the climate action plan is trying to encourage. And you can do that right now. It's the educational component, the training center, tours, the development of a non-permitted access point, the development along the right of way of the road that was not permitted. And a number of other things kind of figured into the zoning issue. So I take issue with the idea that the zoning ordinance is not supporting the climate action plan, because it does support urban agriculture. And it goes on to define it, and what you're doing is well beyond that scope, hence the violation. Now, I do appreciate your response and request to be to further talk about, point by point, how to alleviate those issues and how to address them, make them right. And the fact that you did cease to operate the classes and the trainings and all that stuff, that's I think the bulk of the reason you're getting complaints from neighbors is because of the presence of those activities. But yeah, that's in a nutshell, I think, that's exactly what we're dealing with. The ordinance, in all ordinances, have home occupation clauses, which allows for the running of a business or residential districts, and they uniformly cast requirements and restrictions on those uses so that they're the least likely to cause nuisance for neighbors. And one of those is that home occupation, whether you're a massage therapist or a doctor's office or an insurance salesperson or something like that, is that you have that thing take place in an enclosed environment in the house. And then there would be no changes to the property that suggest business is going on, that there would be no substantial traffic to the property and those things. So, those are intended to keep residential neighborhoods traditionally residential, and your operation will be on that scale as well. So that's where the family transportation part of this coming from.
Yeah,
As you
and
know.
right, as we know, and
Yeah.
so that's where we're asking for, if we want to move forward, we have ceased. We have ceased and desisted,
Yeah, that's if we
sorry.
can, sorry, no, we're gonna just try to maintain structure here and have some questions from committee members and opportunity for public comment as well, as I know some folks are here for that. I have a number, thank you all for your background context, your work, and likewise staff for sharing that context and thoughts. I definitely have a number of questions, but I turn it over to my colleagues first, if you have questions for staff or for Ms. Spear or Mr. Austin.
I visited the company, so I don't have a lot of questions. Got a one-on-one.
Okay.
Well, I will ask maybe a couple of clarity things about the UDO and what it allows or doesn't allow with regard to the education piece. So like, would it still be a problem if all of the education was happening inside the building? Like, that's a question for you. Like, is it about like what the neighbors might be able to see, or is it about, as was mentioned, the idea of certain number of cars parked on the street in the area?
I know it explicitly prohibits outdoor components, so if it was taking place inside, I don't know then. I haven't been around long enough to have to remember it, but I think that there's a component in there that talks about,
Well, I'm trying to find it right now. It's right there. I don't know. UDO is really good.
So here's, if you want to read it, that's where it says, no customers may come on premises, no employees may. Well, but do you see that's where it talks about?
Can I ask a clarifying question on, they mentioned the idea of an exemption or exception. I'm not aware necessarily of a mechanism in the UDO to allow for such a thing for a use. My understanding is that uses either have to be allowed by code or not. And we could, for instance, change a use to allow an outdoor home occupation. That theoretically could happen, but under the UDO as it exists today, is there a legal tool or pathway to allow for an exemption or exception? Is that possible?
no, that's a great question, and the answer is no. I think that their recourse, I don't want to speak for them, but I think you're here basically to implore movement towards amending the ordinance to allow.
Yes,
What they're
yeah.
doing now is not allowed by right nor by grant of conditional use permit, so
Nor is it allowed is it allowed in any zoning district?
no,
Okay,
no.
there's no zoning district that would allow an outdoor occupation like that. I mean, I know it's a residential zone currently. I'm just trying to understand if there's a current use in the ordinance.
There's no existing zoning ordinance, or zoning district that allows for, cultural uses with a sort of set of activities
Okay.
and development that they want to do.
But you said earlier that the agricultural uses were not in violation of UDO, it was just the educational uses, so.
Right. The districts that allow, I think this is the case, the districts that allow for educational use don't allow for agricultural uses. So there's not any single existing district that allows for everything that they want to do.
But currently, they're not in violation because of any of the agricultural uses, it's just the education uses.
Correct.
Is there, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I'm just trying to understand, like, after I looked through like the allowed use table, like it didn't look like there was a specific education allowed use. That would just be under home occupation as private educator. Like how, like, in theory, would that be in there? Or how is an educational use in the UDO currently?
Yeah, I'm not sure. What I am sure of is that staff went over this and searched for a zoning district that could accommodate anything that they want to do. And there isn't, which is, to be honest with you, in and of itself, a little bit of a problem, that there exists no mechanism by which, regardless of whether, what use you're talking about, typically in the zoning ordinance, there's been some kind of wildfire district, like the equivalent of PUD, but for commercial uses, something that does not fit in the ordinance. But a means by which you can request to do it, a commercial special district or something along those lines, and that just doesn't exist in our ordinance.
Is there any limit on the scale of an agricultural operation in a residential zone apart from normal physical, constraints driven by the lot, like setback requirements, for instance, for structures and things like that? Are there any limits to the magnitude of the agricultural operation?
In residential zone?
Yeah, or,
If I'm, again, I'm new enough, but they don't have it memorized, but I believe that there's a limit on the keeping of animals in the residential.
mhm,
There's other language that allows for chickens and so forth, but otherwise it's limited. Urban agriculture is limited towards the production, cultivation, food, and horticultural crops.
okay, thank you.
Yeah, urban agricultural uses shall not include the raising of animals except as permitted elsewhere in the use exposed, which I think refers to the chicken clause.
Add more.
Well, you can go for more. I'm just trying to get at this, like, what
Mhm.
the real problem is, I'll say, in terms of it being a neighborhood that's having this educational use, whether it is an issue with parking, whether it is an issue with what neighbors might visibly see, and then trying to imagine a solution to that. And then once we imagine a solution, then it's like, well, how can that work out in code in a consistent way?
Sure,
That
it doesn't open the door to things you don't want.
Right, exactly. And so that's what I'm just trying to get at, is to really understand, like,
Yeah,
I mean, clearly there's not a way in our current code to make this work. So then it's like, well, not why isn't there a way to currently make it work, but what is the biggest problem with it?
I think, yeah, these are some of the questions are trying to drive at, but just to understand the current state as well. It sounded like it's both a use and some element of some physical things that are possibly in violation. Is that right?
Correct.
And then we can think of those as distinct issues, essentially. Like if there were no physical issues, the use would still be an issue. And so, okay.
Right, there can be relief for the physical issues.
Yeah, yeah.
There cannot for the use in the current, with the ordinance in its current form.
If I could ask y'all a question.
Yeah, sure.
You mentioned having verbal permission to initiate the use at some level or at some scale. Do you recall like?
Yeah, I remember,
Context or?
yes, I was sitting in our blueberry bed talking to Eric, and I know it's a verbal, it's a he said, she said thing. And we talked about, I can constantly try to want to apply for variances. And I start to go through the process. And then I'm told, and I'm told everyone in planning and transportation is like, this is awesome, this is great. And then as soon as I'm ready to apply, then I'm told, oh, wait a second, we can't, we can't support you. And so at that time in 2021, I said, Eric, what can I do? You guys all love this. He said, okay, for me, I'm gonna go and try to work on the UDO. I'm gonna put it on my list for, I'm gonna work on this because I think this education is important. How about you guys can make sure that you are not asking for money for any of the education? If someone happens to give you a donation, that's okay. And so I said, okay, and I changed my website. I went to Airbnb and said, I can't charge anything. And they're like, you have to charge $1. And I'm like, I can't charge even $1. They're like, well, this is for your marketing. Like I changed up my whole thing. And that's how we've been operating since then. I know I don't have, shame on me. I don't have a paper trail. I thought he wrote it down. I'm sorry. All I want to do is be a benefit to the community. I want to try to help. I want to be a template. I want to be your pilot. I see the need.
Yeah.
So I apologize. We're gonna try. The UDO for us is very confusing, and we're trying to work on these things.
So keep in mind, the complaints we're getting are probably from 3 or 4 neighbors. We have hundreds of people who have come through the property, who appreciate it and love it. So there's a vast, much larger amount of people that are for this than are against it. But once again, the city raises up complainers and doesn't help anybody that's trying to do something good.
All right, thank you. I appreciate the perspective. But yeah, just trying to understand the background in terms of permissions and in terms of variances, when you pursued the possibility for the variance or started to explore that, has that always been about the use or has that been about physical improvements?
That's been about the use.
Okay.
And so the physical improvements, we thought, I'll just give you an example. We thought it was the right thing. In the UDO, it talks about you may not have invasive species. You need to get rid of poison ivy. You need to get rid of euonymus. And so we have tried everything as organically as possible. The only way we know how to do this is to put down weed barrier and wood chips. And that's the way. We don't have to put down salt. We don't have to put down vinegar. We're not doing glyphosate, and it works. And so we were like, okay, we're following the UDO because we're getting all along where we were doing stuff where we're in violation. We had poison ivy and winter creeper, and this was our only, we thought,
Only
our
recourse.
only recourse, and then we
To
were like,
actually get rid of it instead of having to deal with it every single year.
so for us, we were confused because we were following part of, the UDO,
Mhm.
but we didn't realize this was not, and then we talked to arborists and they say, well, you need to do your drip line, you need to go up to the drip line of a tree. Well, if your tree is a huge tree like we have, 6 feet doesn't work. So
Okay.
we're,
The challenges.
yeah, the challenges, but we are going to work on those.
Okay.
We understand that we need to fix those
Yeah.
physical things. We're happy. We just need the support of the experts to come make sure that we're following the letter of the law, but we can't fix the home occupation because
Yeah.
we're gray
Crux of the issue,
and
yeah.
we're not in the black and white.
Noting the time and that this is a scheduled meeting for an hour and a half, we have a fair amount of other agenda items. I do want to get to public comment on this item. By show of hands, are there folks here to comment on this item particularly? Just one?
One question and one point.
Yeah, please go ahead. I have up to 3 minutes.
Okay. Is it true? If it's not
Yeah.
your name?
Yeah, thank you.
Bob Austin?
Mhm.
Okay. Is it true that if something is not in the UDO, it is automatically not permitted?
We're not gonna engage in back and forth during the public comment. We can try to seek an answer to your question after the comment period. But yeah.
Okay, and then the second thing, I'm a retired band director, and when I first started teaching, I also taught private lessons in my home.
Mhm.
From what I'm hearing now, was I unknowingly in violation because I had people come to my home, my private home, and I taught the kids?
Okay, thank you. Is that your comment? Thank you. I appreciate it. Do we have any other members of the public who are seeking to comment?
Sure.
Bloomington recycles this,
Please share your name if you don't mind, and we'll have up to 3 minutes.
I happen to be Penny Austin.
Thank you.
Bloomington recycled this. However, Garden West taught me that Bloomington does not recycle these, or my milk carton, these, or the paper like that. I can't put those, oh, my ice cream, this, now I don't have a whole lot of processed food. This was just a couple days of my onions, my fresh foods. So anyway, cheese does not recycle, but Garden West received a
Commission on Sustainability.
to do TerraCycling. Now, Garden Quest did this. Ellie taught me. I'm sorry, she taught a few others, and they are now doing a study for the city of Bloomington that has a funny UDO. And she taught it outside. I don't know if that was right or wrong. She has these bins that are right or wrong, that on my way home, I'll take this to my house and put it in the right place. And I'll take all of these and put them into TerraCycling wherever. And she has to tell me every time my tea, my little tea, I didn't bring them, but my little tea bags, which I do a lot of, because I make my own kombucha. That she taught me how to do. Those are not recyclable because there's like a little plastic on your tea bags, and you can't put that in the city of Bloomington recycling. But she is single-handedly trying to save the city of Bloomington and the climate and the world. And I think that this committee and the city of Bloomington should try a little bit harder to maybe support Ellie's spirit.
Thank you, appreciate it. Any other members of the public wishing to comment? Seeing none, we'll return to folks for some questions, and then I can maybe transition us. I just wanted to follow up with the member of the public that asked about uses that aren't specified. Mr. Hill, I don't know if you can speak to that at all. My sense would be that, of course, we can't list everything in the UDO, and that things may require an interpretation to determine which category they fall in. That could you speak more to that?
Yeah, the UDO guides the interpreter staff to look at whatever use we're talking about, and then find its best match of those uses that are listed in the UDO. And then that's where it falls. So it's allowed, if that use best matches something on page 11, then what page 11 says about which zone districts would allow is what stands for the mystery.
Okay, thank you. And could you also clarify what is allowed for a home occupation use that is compliant with the UDO? There seems to be some confusion about whether or not like clients or folks can come to a home. Do you know about that particular dimension?
Yeah,
It's okay, it's not follow
but it's gotta be indoors. The business aspect cannot appreciably change the outer appearance of the property. There's limitations on signage, deliveries, traffic, parking.
But like
I
a psychologist.
I could read it.
Oh, sure. Like I'm wondering in particular about the idea of like clients or somebody you're serving if you were a psychologist or massage therapist or something like that.
What it says in, I'm not sure where I am right now. Chapter 20.03.0306 is home occupation, and then there's exempted uses for home occupation. One is the following uses are permitted and shall not be regulated as home occupations, and that is childcare, adult daycare, and group care home, small or large, which I think group care homes are only allowed in certain areas of the UDO. And then 2 says activities that create no external visual changes and produce no odors, noise, vibration, or other discernible impacts outside the dwelling, including but not limited to drafting, drawing, typing, writing, and operating telephones, sewing machines, or computers. And those things shall not require a certificate of zoning compliance or conditional use approval, provided that there are no employees or customers. No employees or customers visit or park vehicles on the premises. No signs are displayed and no deliveries other than those normally associated with residential uses are made to the site.
Okay.
So maybe music would fall, because music would create vibration, but depending on, if it's drums or a whole band, like it might not actually like leave the.
But the cars parked on my property.
Well, but if the cars are parked on the street out in front, and, I mean, I don't know.
We can see clarification.
I don't know.
We know.
That one's kind of weird. It could be that, because you're not allowed to park on unfinished surfaces, so like if they were just parked in your driveway, then it might not matter. And then unless you're exempted above, people have to get a certificate of zoning compliance. So for other home uses, then you could apply as long as it was inside. And so I think that's the problem here, right? That it's not happening inside, but it's happening else.
Yeah. I'm gonna need to. Obviously, mirrors myself, but language more closely, but the idea behind modifications is that if you're a therapist or a music teacher. Or something else that operates on a very low scale, very low volume, obviously people can come to your house, it's not, it's not something that says you can't teach, select. $50 for the hour or whatever the fundraiser stays, I don't know.
So the Boy Scouts coming in and putting a key in a cup
Please,
in her garage.
sorry,
I'm sorry.
no, I appreciate the sentiment, but, we do need to move on from this item. And what it sounds like is, there are physical alteration questions that are, being discussed by planning and the folks at Garden Quest. That are maybe not as much in focus here. It seems like what the focus for this committee would be, in particular as a committee of the council, as one of the 2 pathways essentially that can explore the possibility of new or changed uses within the Unified Development Ordinance. Definitely lots more to consider and questions on that front in terms of talking more to staff about what that could look like, what the risks and challenges are, hearing what concerns have been from neighbors and that kind of thing, which again is just really beyond what we have time to get into tonight, but I think we've helped clarify the issues at least for this committee. And are now in touch to be able to follow up. And so I think we can maybe wrap this agenda item and move on to the next one, if that sounds okay to committee members. All good? Very much appreciate you reaching out to us and yeah, your efforts on urban agriculture and education, absolutely. And so, yeah, I know this is a tricky issue with the UDO and we'll look forward to following up and having more conversation about, yeah, what considerations, how we can explore the possibility. So,
Okay.
thank you.
Public comment, you guys want
Yeah, please go ahead.
Where is this place? It sounds kind of neat.
We're located right between High Street and College Mall Road. Right on Covenanter.
On the corner of Brooks and Covenant.
Yeah.
It's right there.
All right, well, thank you very much. Thank you for the materials again, and reaching out.
Yeah.
We can follow up via email and yeah, have a regarding.
Okay,
Yeah,
sounds good.
thank you very much.
Thank you.
And with that, our next item on the agenda then would be updates from committee members. And maybe ask that we keep this pretty brief so we can do it the rest of the time for the items on staff agenda. I don't have any major updates this month.
I don't really either. I talked to Liz pretty briefly and she said that she would be down to come talk to us whenever we want to ask her a question about it.
Okay,
Ask your question, Philip.
About doing so.
and possibly there, well, and yeah, just as a reminder, you can is going through an integrated resource planning process right now, which is like the 20 to 25 year plan. We had discussed in this committee previously the possibility of engaging with with Duke in some capacity on that plan. So Liz Irving is the governmental affairs person with Duke, I'm not sure. Did you have updates to share?
Probably since our last meeting, I have officially joined the Organic Waste Task Force with Monroe County Solid Waste District. So we are working on some composting initiatives. That's been our program. So there will be updates about that where right now the effort is going toward establishment of more small piles because the state doesn't regulate small piles, they only regulate big piles. So we're talking about community piles essentially that are smaller. So it's the idea of people allowing their neighbors to come and put compost on their property for people who would be interested in hosting that, and people who would be interested in that. So Porter County apparently has a pilot project that they've been doing this. So we're kind of using them as an example.
To keep UDO issues in mind as we proceed.
Yeah, yeah,
To make sure that all is kosher.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. But so that's my update.
Okay, thank you. With that, is Councilmember Raleigh joined us online or not?
He had not.
Okay, well, we can move on to updates from city staff. So as I mentioned in the agenda summation at the beginning of the meeting, we have 4 items here, and about 45 minutes to, I think, work on these primarily. So with that, I'll turn it over to Sean Mia, I think to share updates first about the climate action dashboard.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate being here. I provided a presentation that I'd like to go through. It's pretty comprehensive. So I'm here tonight to provide an update on our climate action plan implementation. I think go to the next slide. And so our economic and sustainability team consists of myself, Michaela Lynch, who's here, sustainability programs coordinator, and also our McKinney Climate Fellow that we have for the summer on our outside. So thank you that he's here. So our 2023 budget from our local income tax and ARPA funds was $2,092,000. Our 2024 budget from our local income tax, ARPA, CREED, and TIF funds totaled $2,130,140. And so our climate action plan was published in 2021. Our main goal is to reduce Bloomington community greenhouse gas emissions 25% below 2018 emission levels by 2030 and achieve carbon neutrality by 2050. And last year, last August, we published our most recent greenhouse gas inventory. It covers emissions from 2018 to 2022. We hired Gnarly Tree Sustainability Institute for $15,000. That inventory is on our website. And it's also on the Climate Action Plan dashboard. You can go to the next slide. So we hired Climate Nave last year for $60,000 per year. We launched our dashboard in April of this year. And so there's a link to that dashboard. I wasn't going to go through comprehensively because on July 31st, I'll be providing this update to the full city council, and Climate Nave will be there to help us walk through the dashboard. But you're free to go through the dashboard. It's live, and it has a lot of things that I'll be covering tonight. So we've hired Climate Nave to create the dashboard. They're going to provide an annual greenhouse gas inventory, quantified greenhouse gas emission reports, up to 10 per year. So if we have some projects where we want to quantify the amount of greenhouse gas emission reductions that are a result of them, they can calculate that and provide that to us. So say we purchase 10 electric vehicles, Climate Nave will quantify the greenhouse gas emission reductions from those purchases. They're also going to be helping with our regulatory and disclosure reporting, such as the CDP, and provide 20 minutes of product support. So we'll be walking through the dashboard on July 31st. So the next slide. So our climate action plan is divided into 8 sectors, and I'll be going through each of those sectors tonight and talking about the climate actions that we've implemented or are currently working towards implementing. And so the first one is transportation and land use. So we recently installed two level 2 EV charging stations at Switchyard Park. We moved the 3 chargers that was there to Switchyard Maintenance Facility for 20,000. Parks and, Public Works has funding allocated for them this year, and we've begun some initial conversations about installing Bloomington's first level 3 DC fast charger. So that might be installed, this year. I'm a part of the Regional Opportunities Initiative EV Charging Task Force. The ROI has hired the Beth Miller Group to conduct a study within the Uplands region to determine the best location for EV charging stations. And so that study is going to be very helpful to us. We want to make sure that the chargers that we install are going to be used and are a good asset for our city. So to decrease on-road vehicle miles traveled and to increase bicycle use, we have launched an e-bike voucher program. So we have contracts with Bike Smiths and Revolution Bike and Bean for 15,000 each. So general population can apply for a $500 voucher, and low-income residents can apply for a $1,000 voucher to purchase an electric bike. So far, we have provided 12 vouchers for a total of 6,500. And so we're continually working with them and trying to promote this program and try to get more people to apply for vouchers. Again, for transportation and land use, one of our actions was to conduct a municipal fleet inventory and EV implementation plan, and Public Works is working on that. So in 2023, we worked with Duke Energy to complete a fleet electrification assessment. And so that has a roadmap of how we can convert all of our existing fleet to electric vehicles. That will require significant investment to complete. But in 2023, we purchased 3 Chevy Bolt EVs and 2 Chevy Bolt EUV sedans for $138,000. Next slide. And again, for transportation and land use, so one of the actions is to introduce a policy to replace city off-road and lawn equipment with electric and low carbon fuel alternative options. So last year, Parks and Rec purchased over $104,000 worth of electric equipment. So that included things such as lawn mowers, leaf blowers, string trimmers, and UTVs. This year, they've been allocated $100,000. And they've already started a list of equipment that they want to convert to electric. And so those are things that we're working on.
And is this money from the portion of the ED lit funds that are budgeted for climate action plan implementation? Is that right?
Yes.
Specifically? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Per person.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. And so we also, the next sector is energy and built environment. And the goal is to increase distributed renewable energy to 250,000 megawatt hours of total generation annually by 2030. So a part of our solar energy efficiency and lighting program, which is our SEAL program, in 2023, we installed 28 kilowatt hour solar systems for $500,000. For 2024, we have a total allocation of $425,000. 2023, we encumbered $125,000 from our ED lit fund, and then we also have $300,000 from CREED. So this year, we're hoping to install 17 solar systems by the end of the year. So far, we've accepted 7 applications, 3 from small businesses and 4 nonprofits. And Michaela let me know that we have received some additional applications. So we're hoping by the end of the year to install 17 solar systems. So that's the solar portion of our SEAL program. Also, in 2023, for low-income solar grants, we provided $100,000 to Bloomington Housing Authority to install 102 kilowatt hours at their Walnut Woods units. Additional funding was provided by BHA to install that bigger system. In 2023, we also provided $250,000 to Habitat for Humanity to install 8 kilowatt hour solar systems on 10 houses. In 2024, we are planning on providing $100,000 to BHA for their Crescent units. for a total of 41 kilowatt hours. And for the BHA installations, we provided the solar arrays for those. We're also potentially going to provide $100,000 to the Summit Hill Community Land Trust to install, again, 8 kilowatt hour solar arrays on their houses there. And then for the energy efficiency and lighting part of the SEAL program, we provide $10,000 grants for small businesses and nonprofits to implement energy efficiency projects or lighting upgrades. In 2022, we hired IFF, which is a nonprofit, to conduct energy efficiency audits. Their contract is worth $50,000. In 2023, we paid IFF for over $14,000. Their contract is currently expired, and we're waiting for their contract to be renewed and to be approved. In 2023, we allocated $250,000. We completed IFF completed 4 energy efficiency audits. 4 projects were completed for $40,000 worth of grants. In 2024, we had $185,000 allocated. So far, we've completed 1 project, and it's pending grant approval. That's worth $10,000, and we've received 2 additional applications. Energy and built environment, again, increase energy efficiency citywide. And so to do that, we issued an RFP in 2023 and encumbered $215,000 and have contracted with Jonathan Energy. They have a 5-phase contract. Right now, we're in phase 1. We're just finishing up phase 1, so that's uploading all of our municipal Duke Energy, CenterPoint, and water bills to and building square footage to our online dashboard called Brightly, which we pay $12,000, almost $13,000 subscription for each year. And so we can look at each municipal building and see how energy efficient or inefficient they are. And so we're just finishing up that phase 1 portion of the contract. It's been a little bit difficult with Duke Energy accounts. There's been, they changed their system last year. And so we're trying to line up all of our accounts to our buildings. And so it's taking a little bit of time. And then our phase 2 will be a desktop audit where they're going to assess and stack rank city-owned real estate assets. This ranking will focus on identifying those assets that present the most significant opportunities for energy efficiency and decarbonization. And so we'll be moving into phase 2 soon. They'll be looking into the capital improvement plans for public works and for Parks and Rec. And so there'll be a lot of information that they'll be assessing. And then phase 3, we'll be looking at phase 1 and phase 2, and we'll be choosing which buildings will be moving into phase 3. And phase 3, they will be conducting the on-site energy audits at the prioritized city assets. And then phase 4, we're going to be looking at those buildings and determining energy conservation measures. And so they'll be creating implementation designs, so engineer designs for those ECMs. So that will be complete with detailed financial and operational impact analysis. So we'll have those cohorts of buildings. They'll be developing the energy conservation measures. So if for this group of buildings, perhaps they need new windows or new doors, or they need better insulation, or they need new HVAC systems. So we'll have those cohorts, and it'll let us know if we complete this project, it's going to provide this much financial savings. So as we become more energy efficient, it's going to reduce our operational costs. And then phase 5 will be, sorry, could you go back, Lynn? So phase 5 is implementation of those ECMs. So they'll be helping us to issue the RFPs and following through project completion. So helping us hire the contractors. Yeah.
Will the ECMs, will that include decarbonization measures?
Decarbonization.
In terms of when we replace HVAC, will we, convert it to ground source geothermal? Geothermal or air source, like heat pumps for water heaters and space heating and things, or?
Yeah, so phase 3 will help us with that, because we'll be looking at those buildings and where it's appropriate, if those HVAC systems need to be replaced. Do we have the space to install geothermal systems? So I'll tell you about a project here in a minute, Bus for Chumley. We thought about geothermal there, but we don't have the space to install the systems. So
And do they explore air source options, like heat pump options then for,
heat pumps. So
for
we,
heating and AC? Yeah.
yeah, so I said that, so the RFP was very detailed in saying that we not only want to look for energy efficiency, but decarbonization as well.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah. And so, so Donovan is already helping us identify some projects that we want to pursue. So we applied for, the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant, and we have been awarded $141,000. So Jonathan helped us to identify a project that we could fast track. And so we identified City Hall, LED lighting retrofit project. And so we submitted that and it's been approved by the Indiana Department of Energy. And so we hope to complete that project by the end of this year. And so some of our lighting in City Hall is dated from 1998. So we'll be updating our LED lights. And then another grant that they identified is empowering energy partnerships in Indiana communities, which is the EPIC grant. We submitted a letter of intent to apply for this grant at the end of April. So I've worked with, Donovan and ESD, we meet with Public Works and Parks and Rec to determine which buildings and which projects we want to pursue. So it's a team effort, and I'm really thankful for their cooperation in this project. So we identified Buskirk Chumley Theater as a project that we want to pursue for energy efficiency and decarbonization. So for the EPIC grant, they really want to see community-facing projects, and so Buskirk Chumley is like the perfect location. And so we're going to be proposing solar installations, a full roof. The theater lighting will be upgraded, and their HVAC system will also be upgraded. And so that grant does require a 20% match, and so we'll provide that from our ED-led funding. Energy and built environment, again, increasing energy efficiency citywide. And so for Hopewell, we issued an RFP in 2023. We hired a green engineer for $148,000 from our SIP funds. Our goal is to achieve LEED for neighborhood development, and the LEED certification ensures that Hopewell is developed in accordance with sustainable practices. We have our Bloomington Green Home Improvement Program. This program's been around for a while. In 2023, $75,000 was allocated. So how the program is set up now is that whoever wants to receive a $1,000 rebate needs to acquire a loan through either Clean Energy Credit Union or Hoosier Hills Credit Union. So once they receive the loan, they complete the project, they can apply for a $1,000 rebate. And last year, we only had 5 people apply for the rebate, and that's how it's been pretty much since the program's been launched. And so you can go to the next slide. In 2024, we're going to revise the program, and we're pretty close to launching the new program. Again, we have $75,000 allocated, but this time, people do not have to have a loan to receive the rebate. The loan is still available if people are seeking loans for their project. But we are increasing the city rebate amounts, especially for low-income residents. And so we're hoping that with these revisions, we'll have more people completing energy efficiency projects. And so we're also adding, it's an optional approach if they want to stack incentives. There's the Duke Smart Saver program, where they can receive additional Duke rebates. They have to go through a Duke pre-approved contractor for that. And then we also provide information about IRA tax credits. So by having the city rebates, the Duke rebates, and the IRA tax credits, this will provide significant savings for residents to complete energy efficiency projects. Energy efficiency and solar. There's lots of options. Energy and built environment, another strategy is to increase solar on city facilities 20% by 2030. We currently have 32 municipal solar sites. We hired Verigy in 2023 for solar operation and maintenance. So in 2023, we allocated $75,000. We paid $36,800 for O&M. In 2024, we have 70,000 allocated. We have paid 33,000 for time and materials to replace inverters, solar panels, electric panels that need to be repaired. And we paid 9,200 so far for O&M to date. Now, we also have a dashboard that we monitor all of our solar sites on. It's called Also Energy. We pay $15,000 per year for that dashboard. ESG is the vendor who installed all of the 32 sites. They have submitted their first year performance guarantee savings report. And just, I believe it was Friday, they also submitted their second year performance guarantee savings report. So those have been submitted. We have installed 2 new sites. This is a picture of Cascades Golf Clubhouse. These 2 sites are managed by Parks and Rec. So we installed those 2 sites for $60,000 from 2023 encumbered funds. For waste management, increased landfill and solid waste diversion by 30% of 2018 values. So what we've done so far, in 2023, we co-funded a project with Monroe County Solid Waste District. We provided $27,500 grant to One Sustainable Joe. He is educating residents about composting and to begin composting on site. So these are multifamily apartments where he put out this project. And so we're hoping to continue to fund this program each year. Organic Waste Task Force that we have at McCann is also on the task force. And so they're seeking funds to possibly find a place to have a local composting processing facility. We also have our 2024 Bloomington Commission on Sustainability Sustainable Neighborhoods Grant Program. We have $10,000 allocated for that. We provided Garden Quest with a $1,000 grant for a pilot residential TerraCycle project. So for the Sustainable Neighborhoods Grant Program, a group of 4 residents can apply for a grant that will help to initiate any type of sustainability project that serves all 4 families. So that grant is available for those types of projects. Water and wastewater, the goal is to maintain source and drinking water quality through climate-related challenges. In 2023 and 2024, we are providing $25,000 per year grant to support their water quality protection projects. Again, in 2024, we have our Coast Sustainable Neighborhoods Grant Program. If a group of residents wants to install a rain garden, there's a $1,000 grant available for that. Local food and agriculture, increased food and nutrition security citywide, increased local agricultural resilience. And so in 2023 and 2024, we provided Hoosier Hills Food Bank with $10,000 per year to purchase locally grown food and distribute to low-income families. In 2023, and then also this grant is pending approval, the Mother Hubbard's covered to provide $10,000 per year to support their gardening program. 2024, also with the Coast Sustainable Neighborhoods Grant Program, if a group of neighbors want to get together and install, raised garden beds or whatever they want to do to garden together, there's grants available for that. And then I'm just starting a 2024 urban gardening implementation team. There's several people here that will be on that team. And our goal is to increase urban gardening throughout the city.
What does the implementation team do?
We haven't met yet.
Okay.
Our first meeting is this Wednesday night. So last year I held 2 community climate resilience workshops to prioritize climate risks and vulnerabilities and the strategies to address them. And so what rose to the top of the list was food insecurity. And so food insecurity and extreme heat. And so I created 2 teams from that task force that I created last year for the urban gardening implementation team and beach heat implementation team. And so we're just getting started. So we have a chair and a co-chair. And they were on the climate resilience task force last year. And so it's just a continuation from there. And so this leads us right into the climate resilience plan. This falls under health and safety in our climate action plan. So our goal is to educate, engage, and empower the public for climate health and safety and to prepare Bloomington for climate risks and impacts. So last year, we were part of the IU Environmental Resilience Institute's Climate Resilience Cohort. We hosted the 2 climate resilience workshops with the community. And then, so we prioritize climate risk and vulnerabilities and the adaptation strategies to address them. I worked with our ITS department to create a climate resilience map, and that's on the sustainability website if anybody wants to take a look at it. So it has our urban tree canopy data from 2018, and it also has satellite data that has it shows different areas of our city that are hotter than others. That data is not very accurate, and I'll talk about how we're going to update that data in just a minute. So if anybody's interested, that map is on our website. And then we hope to publish the climate resilience plan this year. And I'm thankful that Anurag Bhatt is here. He will be helping with that effort. And so to update that map, we applied to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration to be a part of the 2024 Heat Watch campaign, and we were selected. We will be paying $15,000 for that project. This is a citizen science project. And so between July 26th and August 8th, volunteers will be collecting temperature data to help map our urban heat island. And so they'll be driving through predetermined routes throughout the city 3 times during one of those really hot days between July 26th and August 8th. So we're looking for volunteers if anybody's interested in volunteering or helping us to recruit volunteers. The more volunteers that we have, the more routes that we can map. So I'm working with our local meteorologist to determine the best day during that date range. Once we have this updated climate resilience map, we'll be able to understand and address heat distribution across our city. And so we can identify those hot spots and determine where we need to increase our tree canopy, where we need to shelter bus stops, and increase green infrastructure. We're also going to be collecting PM 2.5 data. That's particulate matter that's extremely small, and it's really important to have that information because PM 2.5, the particulate matter is so small, it can go through your lungs and into your bloodstream, which is detrimental to public health. Okay. And I put these 2 on here together because they overlap a lot. So health and safety and green space and ecosystem. And I won't read through all those goals, but we can go to the next slide. So climate adaptation strategy implementation. So this falls more in health and safety and also green space. But 2024 food corridors. So whenever we have our updated map, we can see, you know, where are there low income areas where people are walking to bus stops or parks or schools, and where we need to increase tree plantings, and then also I have funding for sheltering those bus stops. So I'm working with Bloomington Transit, and also I'm working with Holly Warren. We have a potential to not only shelter those bus stops, but to include art in them. Tree tenders program, we provide funding to Canopy Bloomington. It helps youth to understand how to perform tree maintenance. And so that's a program that's managed by Parks and Rec.
Do you know how many are the sheltering bus stops, like that allocation, do you know how many stops that is for?
It all depends if it already has a concrete slab there. So that would be a significant portion of the funding. If they don't have those slabs, we have to install those.
Or talking like a few that they like
Yeah, just
3 or 4,
Yeah.
I think.
Right. So we want to do like a pilot to see how much funding it will need in the future.
Yeah. I know we have a lot of those. And it seems like an important equity issue and
Right.
heat resilience issue for sure.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah. But I'm working with Bloomington Transit and we'll figure out the costs.
Can I add, Sean, I have a layer on the planet map that includes covered and uncovered transit stuff.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Is that the same map, the resilience map you were mentioning?
Yeah.
And you said that's on the sustainability, city sustainability,
Well, it's on, the GIS.
cities,
If you Google, City of Bloomington climate resilience map, you'll find it.
got it,
Yeah.
perfect, thank you.
And it does have the sheltered and non-sheltered bus.
Got it.
Thank you, Jean. And so additional climate adaptation strategy implementation, I, have a funding for 50,000 for an AC distribution program to provide free air conditioning units to low-income residents with a medical condition that increases their risk of heat-related illnesses. And so air conditioning is not just for comfort, it's actually life-saving for people who have medical conditions. So I issued an RFP a couple weeks ago to hire an AC installation company. And I'm working with our townships. They will accept applications and process them because I don't have the capacity to do that. And they already have, working relationships with people who are in need. And so once they have an applicant that meets all of the criteria, they will provide those applications to me. I'll review them and coordinate with the applicant and the AC installation company to get those AC units installed. And another part of health and safety, I'm working with the IU School of Informatics. We have a 15,900 service contract in place. They've already hosted 2 workshops with, I have a Beat the Heat implementation team, which consists of Monroe County Health Department, Monroe County Emergency Management, nonprofits that serve low-income residents, MCCSC, BT, Duke Energy, and there's others that are on the team, fire department and others. So we held 2 workshops to understand vulnerable populations in Bloomington, to map our assets, and to complete a mock heat wave scenario, which was very interesting. They had a heat wave occur on July 4th, during July 4th, and so City Hall is closed, so what do we do? And then also, we have a massive heat wave and we have a brownout where if we have a power outage, what do we do? So all of that information is going to help to inform our heat action plan that we're working on developing with the School of Informatics and with my team. And so the heat action plan, we're going to have specific actions that the city, the county, and NGOs that we will all take before and during the summer months, and especially during the heat wave.
How's the engagement going with the county health programs and emergency management? I remember there was like a fair amount of turnover over the last few years in those departments. I didn't know, but the current folks are engaged.
Very much engaged. So 2 years ago, I was on the Commission on Sustainability and created Beat the Heat implementation team. You remember that? And so I was working with them at that time. It's the same people.
Oh, is it? Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I already talked about that. I put there down their choice. I know they really love that. I have funding for weatherization. So I potentially might set up a grant agreement with SCAP. They already have a weatherization program. And so this would provide funding for low-income residents to weatherize their homes, to lower their utility costs, increase their energy efficiency, and also, most importantly, to maintain healthy interior temperatures. And so I'm hoping that we can stack all of these resources for low-income residents who have health conditions, where they can have energy efficient homes, they can have air conditioning units. And so SCAP is looking at their capacity to take on this project. And so if they don't, I will issue an RFP and just administer the program myself.
And this is for code delivery potentially with the free AC program you mentioned?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I was wondering about utility bill and that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect.
I'm hoping that that will work.
And this would be for people who own or rent.
I haven't really thought about if it would be for homeowners for weatherization. For the AC distribution, I'm saying it's for anybody, whether they rent or own. But as far as weatherization, I don't know how that would work out if we have a landlord that's just not providing.
Well, I think, I don't really know like what are landlords required to do in terms of weatherization and in terms of some of those.
I don't think in the UDO we have those requirements where they have to maintain.
Yeah, they have the requirements, but we could, I can help with that. Answering some of those questions about what the requirements are and what the like.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great. Okay. Free access to swimming pools, and so I'm working with Parks and Rec to begin. They had this program a couple of years ago. And so whenever, we are under, whenever the heat index is 90 degrees, or above, then they would have free access to the swimming pool. So there's a tool that, an online tool that we can use that helps to forecast heat risk. And so, whenever we're at a level 2, I believe that's whenever we would provide the free access. And so that's something we're just now starting to work through. But again, I'm thankful for Parks and Rec's, cooperation with all of our projects. Okay. Kind of, I think we only have 2 minutes left, and I'll just go through these quickly, but, so we've just started climate talks. We provide this monthly, at Switchyard Park, so they're in person, they're also live. So about climate change and health, IRA tax incentives, battery powered lawn equipment, tree species, resilient tree species and gardening. And then climate economy, Michaela is working on a green workforce development project. So we have 55,000 allocated for that. I think that's project 46 is the last one. You can go with. So project 46, I put it under climate economy. I don't know if it really fits there, but it could fit under anything because we're doing a lot of different things. So project 46 is the regional climate alliance between Bloomington, Nashville, and Columbus. So far, each city provides 50 cents per capita. So for Bloomington, we provided 40,000 in 2023 and the same amount for 2024. In September 2023, we formed our steering committee and we began meeting quarterly. In December, the 3 cities signed a memorandum of understanding and signed a funding agreement with the fiscal sponsor, which is the Heritage Fund of Bartholomew County. And then I repeated that information, sorry. You can go back in March 2024, we received a $20,000 donation from the Commons. We've hired a consulting firm called Parallel Strategies for 18 months for $134,000. They're helping us to formalize Project 46. We are currently working on our interim governance documents, which will lead us into developing our long-term governance document. And then we are also conducting a regional greenhouse gas inventory. In February 2024, we applied for the climate pollution reduction grant, submitted 11 project ideas worth $72 million. IDEM selected 6 of those projects worth $38 million, and we should know next month whether the EPA will approve IDEM's implementation grant application. So more soon.
Thank you. More questions?
No, good job.
Thank you.
I mean, it's a lot and, yeah, there's a lot of various things to be done. I guess my one kind of statement, I love that there's so many grant opportunities for residents. And I wonder how easy those are for residents to find and to learn about, especially, I mean, you mentioned one that has been happening for a couple of years that doesn't have very much participation.
Right.
And I wonder about that offhand too. They also have various grants, and I wonder how much residents know about the various grants that the city has.
One thing that I
They're really great opportunities.
Thank you for the question. One thing I thought of is WFIU has a community minute, and so Michaela is looking into how we can get on WFIU's community minute so that she can describe all of the grants that are available. And then we're going to start going to the farmers markets regularly, and we're posting on our social media pages.
I think there's on top of it being how much do they know about it. It's also like BG HIP is a program where a lot of people aren't going to invest necessarily in HVAC or water heater upgrades or whatever until it is necessary. And then I think, you know, like Sean mentioned, we're revamping the program a lot. And so previously we required a loan, we required the project to have a certain, meet a certain minimum cost. So there's a lot of barriers that, in addition to the fact that Bloomington is a really high renter community, that applies specifically to homeowners. So I think there's a lot of things for us to look at. We are finally now editing the program and revamping it so that the incentives are more worth it to pursue. We removed the barrier of the loan, and are trying to re-promote the program as much as possible. So I think that we'll see a significant increase just through those things. But yeah, like I said, I mean, I think it's a combination of how much are we increasing awareness, what other avenues can we take to increase awareness? And then how do we get at like making this an important issue before it's needs-based and whatever else. But yeah, I mean, for all of our programs, I think it's a matter of like, you would think we have all this money out here, we have $25,000 grants for businesses and nonprofits, and we're still like, what can we do to get people to apply? You know, you would think you're giving out money and people would want it, but yeah, for sure, it's a process of trying to figure out how to get people to hear about it.
Is there one place on our website that has all of these listed? Because that would,
We have it on our sustainability website.
but I mean like all of the city.
The city is working on, some sort of website where you can go to and you can just put in some parameters and it'll tell you all the grants that you would apply.
Yeah,
That you could apply for.
They're transitioning all of the grants across all the departments to city form. So, you know, previously, some departments, I think, used Google Forms. We have a grant portal in ESD that we utilize, so all of our arts and small business and sustainability grants are all in there, but the city is wanting us, they're having us all shift towards one platform, which is necessary, and
That'd be helpful, I think, for
in
everybody.
doing so, like Sean mentioned, people can go to the site, they'll fill out information about their income status, you know, where they live, Bloomington city limits, residents versus nonprofits versus whatever else. And when you answer all those questions, it will tell you across the city, across the departments, these are the grants that you qualify to apply for.
That sounds fantastic.
Well, we're nearing the end of the hour, so I do want to turn it over for general public comments. We can wrap. Oh,
Oh.
thank you for joining us. Councilman Morello, please go ahead. Ask a question.
Thanks. I'll keep it brief. Sean, really impressive. I was wondering a couple things. One is, so the lifespan of a solar cell is, 20 to 30 years. And so we're probably coming up on the halfway point for some of the panels we've already installed. Should we be thinking about a fund for replacement at some point in the coming years?
Well, we do have a lot of panels in storage from the 2017 installations that could be, and as Verity is, monitoring all of our solar sites. And so once, if a panel is damaged, they're using our stockpile of panels to replace them. And so I'm not sure. We have about 2,500 in storage, so those could be used as panels start to wear out. But yeah, I think that's something to start to consider.
We have 2,500 installed, you say? Is that right?
2,500 in the storage unit in our.
Oh, in
unit.
storage. Got it. Okay.
They were to be installed at the water treatment plant or the wastewater treatment plant, future pool, but
Yeah.
they never got started. So.
Got it. Okay. I want to hear from public, so I'll just keep this. I'll just have one other question, and that is efficiency loss. Do we track that? Because efficiency is lost. There's a natural rate of efficiency loss for solar panels. And I assume there's some maintenance costs that are involved. So, I mean, for instance, just when I go outside, my windshield is covered with pollen. And I'm sure that this happens to solar panels, right? Do we have like a cleaning schedule to keep them performing at peak efficiency? Do you happen to know? And are resources put into that, or do we have a maintenance crew that does that?
So we're here at Verity, they're our operation and maintenance vendor, and so they're checking all the sites, and we have our dashboard, and they're maintaining all of the sites. And so I'm not sure if they're actually cleaning them, but if there's a problem at any of our sites, they go out and they check them. But as far as cleaning them, I'm not sure, because it rains and then the pollen gets washed off, so.
Yeah, well, let's talk about it. I just wonder if they're operating at peak efficiency, year on year. So, but I'll stop there so we can hear from public. Thanks.
Thank you. So our members of the public that wanted to make a comment on general items or the presentation, I would be appropriate. Show of hands.
It's
We have one?
not the-
Yeah, but either way is okay. General comment is also okay.
Yeah,
please go ahead.
so I've spoken to, multiple neighbors about different grants, I see them. And the biggest fear that or what people tell me is, I don't know how to write a grant. I'm scared, is there any assistance, with helping? And I know how to write grants, but I can only spend myself so thin, so I'm throwing that out as a potential. I know there's IU classes that are more, write grants, maybe that would be something that could be offered.
So if anyone wants to apply for the Commission on Sustainability Grant, there's commission members who have volunteered who say that, if there's anyone out there that's, concerned about writing a grant, they can just contact me and I'll forward it to the commission members and I'll help them write it.
Is that allowed with all the different grants that are?
I think it's the only one where residents apply for a grant. There's grant applications online, but it's.
Yeah, all the other programs are more just straightforward, like demographic information, financial information, yeah.
If you're eligible,
It's less, yeah, if you're eligible and if you've completed a project, we just need proof of completion or whatever, it's not like a grant.
I will share that information, thank you.
Yeah, send it to me.
Okay.
Great. I have, well, again, thank you so much for joining us. I think our hope was to get on something like a quarterly cadence to have staff so we can go deeper on issues specific to like cap tracking implementation, because we don't get to this level of detail in council meetings, of course, or with an annual report. And so we very much appreciate it and have some items for follow-up and additional questions, but we are at 7 o'clock or just after, and that's the intended time for the meeting. So we can go ahead and wrap up. Before we do, final items on the agenda, we have scheduling, which is just that we are continuing to meet on the first Monday of the month at 5:30, but I believe we might be taking July off during council recess. So the next time we'll be back in the first Monday in August at 5:30. Probably the same. Is that correct, Deputy Attorney Colette?
Yes, the next scheduled meeting is August 5th at 5:30 in this room.
Thank you so much. Okay, and that,
Well, I'm
Yeah.
thinking about it, in September, we're actually meeting on the second Monday, and I have a planning commission that night, so I will not be able to be in attendance.
okay,
Well, I'm thinking about it.
It's because the first Monday.
Yeah.
got it. Okay, thank you all. We are adjourned.